And with us today is Mahesh Jethmalani, Senior Advocate of the Supreme Court. Mr. Jethmalani, the broader question that is now coming out, that was this the original plot? Bangladesh came later, but was the first attempt in India, which we failed to realize it for what it was?
Yes, chronologically it certainly was. And now you can see there's, there's an identity of comments made at that time. Now, you remember this 7-clip video, which I think you played on your channel, different on between December 2019 and January 2020, Sharjil's statements, where he actually talked. I mean, what was the point? You're having a protest, right? Presumably it was a protest for the CAA enactment, right? And it was meant to draw President Trump's attention to the CAA and his so-called discontentment about it. But Sharjil went and talked about Chicken's Neck. He went and talked about that Siliguri corridor. He said, it's our duty. It belongs to the Muslims. And he said that we should strive to cut off India from the northeastern states because we control this. Now, recently, I think about 3 months ago, Mohammed Yunus has said the same thing, that we have the ability to cut off through the Siliguri corridor. He's made the same statement. India from its northeast states, the mainland India from the northeast states. So it resonated. What happened then resonates with what's happening now. They failed in India, but they've got a puppet now in Bangladesh who's inciting the population against Hindus, right? And at the same time is playing the deep state's game exactly in the same tenor that Sharjil and Umar did in 2019-20.
So, Mr. Jethmalani, why was Umar Khalid then allowed to come out on bail will be the critical question. Because he said, Bharat Tere Tukde Honge, he was part of the group along with Kanhaiya Kumar and others in that original so-called protest in JNU, the Tukde Tukde Gang protest, but he came out in 2 months almost triumphant.
I think at that time, I do not think that any investigating agency had actually realized the scale of what was happening. Nobody really thought that this was a regime change operation at the behest of the deep state the then deep state in America. Nobody thought so. They thought it was a simple protest. Yes, all right. He got carried away. At the most, he was an innocuous Muslim separatist, right? That's all they thought. But on deeper probing, and one must give credit to the Delhi police. I mean, and of course, I mean, I have to raise my hat to Mr. S.V. Raju. I mean, he's done an outstanding job marshalling the facts and the law at all stages of this case. He's done a remarkable job, and the nation owes him a lot for performing his job in a stellar manner. But at that stage, I thought, I mean, my own view is that it was underestimated. What was going on and the forces behind it was not understood. Today, we have the whole picture, thanks to a thorough investigation and now a very good prosecution at the moment in charge of Additional Solicitor General Raju.
But what about the others? I'm not holding them responsible directly, that's for the prosecutors, but there are images of several other people, so-called activists, Yogendra Yadav. Can I have that picture there? I'm not saying that they were not having more than a cup of tea, but they are seen there with Sharjil Imam, with Umar Khalid. What will ever be known about the known of so-called political activists and political parties?
At some stage, it's the same actors, whether they're for instance, I don't know why these people do it. I mean, obviously, they're on an agenda. They're on an agenda. Nobody can say whether it's a paid agenda or what, but there's an agenda to somehow undermine Indian interests. I mean, it is what you call the Tukde Tukde Gang. Every cause they take up is not to enhance India's sovereignty and its territorial integrity, but it is to somehow undermine it. And it's the same actors, except, as you said, different issues every year. I mean, what the deep state seems to be doing, and Soros is very much part of that deep state, and he's a key figure, is they collect some, articulate, iconic, promote them as iconic figures, whether it's Trudeau in Canada, right, and, now Yunus in Bangladesh. but also lesser characters. Then some at the world stage, Greta Thunberg. What has Greta Thunberg got to do with farmers' protests in India? They're all members of the same ilk, and they're united by external forces, the deep state, basically Soros's money, right? His foundations are funding most of these people. You've seen that even on the Kashmir issue, there's a Soros-controlled NGO which has Sonia Gandhi as a member. That was exposed a few months ago. So it's political, it's NGO, it's activists, it's international high-profile so-called environmentalists. Sometimes Rihanna comes, sometimes Greta Thunberg comes. And of course, we have some of our own Indian stars. I don't even think they know what they're doing. They're probably just being paid to do it. Some of our high-profile Indian, stars.
So in a way, Omar Khalid was the new Yasin Malik. What Yasin Malik in the 1990s and 2000s was, Omar Khalid was in the 2020s. The same political ecosystem also adopted him. But only the geopolitical circumstances, and I'll end with that, are far more explosive now, aren't they, Mahesh? That, there are people who would like to destabilize our country more actively through intelligence players or otherwise.
Yes, it seems that it's reaching crescendo right now, isn't it? Yes. They're trying at every stage. This has been going on issue by issue, Rafale, then Adani. These are all deep state activities. It all emanates from there. We found out who's behind Hindenburg as well. Right? Hindenburg himself now is squealing that I was only a research analyst. But there are attempts to destabilize a powerful government in India that doesn't suit foreign powers who are inimical to India.
Absolutely. Well, Mahesh Jethmalani, I think we have to put it in a particular context. I thank you because you sparked my debate. Thank you for joining me this evening. Mahesh Jethmalani there. Now, opening this up for debate, what is the impact of the Tukde Tukde